Heroes has 1 to 6 players moving and manipulating their characters around maps to complete objectives. Wonderment Games provided this in exchange for an honest review. This is a scenario-based game with modular setups and different modes that use some different rules and components. The general setup is in the rulebook, scenario maps and special rules are in the scenario book. I'll show you the first player versus player scenario, Basic Rally Race. Arrange the boards and tokens as shown in the scenario book, prepare the required tokens, then set the wall, tunnel, teleporter, spring, cannon, and pit tokens nearby. In Basic Rally Race, shuffle the indicated secret tokens, then place them on the map as shown. Shuffle the required exploration cards into a deck. Place 5 cards face up within reach of all players. Shuffle the required world events into a deck, then place it near the board. Player 1 takes the first player coin. Players choose a hero, then take their 2 cube miniatures, hero board, side A, and reference card, and skill and upgrade tiles. In reverse turn order, meaning beginning with the last player, everyone places 1 mini on the start zone. Minis start facing the board with their Q side up. Players place each skill tile on the blank spaces on their board. Keep upgrade tiles nearby. The game lasts a number of rounds until the scenario's game end is triggered. A round consists of player turns, then end of round steps. Player turns have 4 phases: power-up, movement, recovery, and exploration. In the power-up phase, play as many exploration cards as you wish to boost your movement phase or modify the board. There are several types of cards. Food cards are single-use and often enhance a character's movement. Runes are single-use and add various tokens or other effects. The tokens generally must be placed within a number of spaces from your hero mini. Tools are single-use and help you out of a jam. Pets and items have the equipped icon, meaning they stay next to the hero board once played. A hero can only have 1 of each at a time. These both provide effects such as movement bonuses, more tokens, and so on. Most cards can only be played on your own turn, although impulse cards can be played on any player's turn. Next is the movement phase. Players will tumble and activate skills to move across the board. First is your natural tumble. Players roll their hero 1 orthogonal space, then activate the movement skill or Q power on the face-up side. 5 of these skills are different movements, which do not have to be in the same direction as the natural tumble. The Q power has 2 parts. One is unique to each hero. The second lets you rearrange all other skill tiles. When activating movement, you may move up to the total number of movement point symbols on your board. Gain more movement points through the upgrade tiles. Board elements must be resolved before anything else. You cannot move through intact walls or other obstacles, but you can jump onto walls to continue moving. If your mini lands on or moves over a collectible, pick it up unless you're at the limit for this scenario. If another hero blocks your movement, you push them in the direction of your movement. If you fall into a pit, you drop your collectibles in a nearby space, then respawn Q side up on the nearest respawn point. There are a ton of tokens and elements that can be added to boards or even built into some maps. You have collectibles like crystals or sheep, obstacles like walls, movement modifiers like springs and tunnels, dangers like cannons and bombs, and so on. Next is the recovery phase, which allows you to play more exploration cards from your hand. Finally, there's the exploration phase. Players draw exploration cards up to the number of magnifying glass icons on their player board. After all players have gone, the end of round phase occurs. Move any movable board elements, then the first player draws and reads the top world event card. Resolve player and/or board effects, then move the time tracker down 1 space if you're playing a timed scenario. Players then choose and add 1 upgrade tile to their board. 3 are unique to each hero. Details are on your reference card. Pass the first player coin to the next player, then begin the next round. The game can end in different ways, and these will be in the scenario rules. It could be when the first player/team achieves an objective, or player/group fails an objective. Plan, play cards, and tumble and move your way across the board. That's Quad Heroes. Quad Heroes needs to be played on dining tables. The boards and bits take up a lot of space. If the player can read at a grade 2 level, they can give this a try. Experienced gamers will do better because this requires lots of planning and adapting thanks to a constantly changing/rotating character and environment. Start 8-year-olds with custom scenarios. Co-op might work best, and don't use world events. Our games average around an hour. Once you know what you're doing, turns in games are surprisingly quick. I'll talk more about this later. Give yourself 90 minutes for some of the big scenarios or with more players. In our fourth game of Quad Heroes, we tried a co-op scenario with a goal of retrieving 4 crystals. We had some rotten luck and were running out of time. With only a single crystal collected, I used an earth rune to place a wall in a pit so I could reach another crystal. In the final round, a card came out that allowed us to place 2 springs each. We puzzled things out and created a trail where we could get the remaining crystals, then bounce back towards the drop zone goal. We fell short by a few squares, but came close at the end. I'll talk about world events more in likes and dislikes. Quad Heroes' movement puzzle is brilliant. How can I get over this pit? How can I get to the gem from here? You need to figure out a few turns ahead and maximize your choices, actions, and turns. This is all quite fun, and I think chess fans will appreciate it. Using a cube was such a smart design because you get a number of options, yet it's all planned and controlled by you. Well, except for world events. No matter how much you plan, the boards will be changing. Players may block you, although that's not always a bad thing. Objects may get added/destroyed. Boards might get rotated and/or separated. This is a really cool mechanism and adds to the movement puzzle. I love that 2 copies of your character are included. You can fiddle with your cube and plan out turns while other players go. It also keeps players from disrupting the board. Those cube powers are clever. It's nice to be able to rearrange your skills, preventing you from getting stuck and allowing you to tackle scenarios and phases. For example, maybe you needed to jump a lot early on, but maybe the board state or upgrades mean you're going to need to zigzag more later. It's yet another puzzle, and it's a fun one to work out. The rulebook is pretty good, but the reference sheets and player boards are excellent. They're a big reason why games will start speeding up. The tutorial scenario adds rules as you go. First, you'll learn how to move. Cards are added next. Then you're pretty much playing the full game. It works really well. The theme is cute. There's a little comic in the rulebook to set things up. The characters feel unique, and the upgrades and exploration cards add even more differences as the game progresses. I mentioned in Family Facts that co-op is a good way for families to learn this together. Unfortunately, there's only one co-op scenario in the base game's rulebook. There are a handful of free-for-alls, team games, and overlord scenarios, plus solo ones if you're into single-player gaming. On the bright side, there is info on the official website on how to design your own scenarios. The world events add a lot of chaos to the game. Honestly, I think they add too much, especially in co-op and overlord games. In free-for-all, they're okay because they have an equal chance of ruining everyone's plans. In co-ops, you're already working against a timer. A single bit of bad luck might make things unwinnable, so it feels like too much punishment. In Overlord, you may start with upgrades and/or extra items, plus your deck. It's already really tough for the other players. I think these modes are more fun without the world events. Honestly though, the entire game is better without them. Team mode is exactly as it sounds. I think it's worse than free-for-all because your team is only as good as your teammate, and it's worse than co-op because you have those opponents to deal with. I'd rank the modes like this: free-for-all, co-op, overlord, and then teams. Games with allies, co-op, overlord, or teams work better at higher player counts. Odd and/or a low number of players, stick to free-for-all. Quad Heroes has tons in the box and tons of things to like, but has some things that I really dislike. Thankfully, those choices, like the world events, can either be left out or, like the low number of scenarios at certain player counts or modes, you can make on your own. In other words, Quad Heroes is a sandbox with brilliant mechanism for moving around the board, and you can use the rest of the components to shape scenarios into exactly what you want it to be. That's pretty cool, and it's something I recommend checking out.